So for today's video, I do want to speak about two high-profile players that could join FC Barcelona. And you guys have already read the title. Yes, it is Julian Alvarez and Ligt from Bayern Munich. I am going to be making a series off of this because I do want to talk about other players besides Julian Alvarez and Ligt. And maybe if you guys want to recommend any other player that you guys want me to talk about that could fit at Barcelona, let me know in the comment sections down below. But for this video, again, we're going to be talking about the Argentinian star and the Dutchman defender. And so let's first talk about Julian Alvarez, a player that I believe can play at Barcelona and could come to Barcelona in the future. Now, he's 23 years old. He'll be turning 24 in January, so he's not that young, but he's still considered as a young player all around, and he's currently playing in his second season with Manchester City. In his first season, the whole narrative was that he is the backup to Erling Haaland and that he's seen very little game time and that he's receiving very little minutes throughout the season. That was the whole narrative in the first season when he first joined, and there were many sources claiming within Manchester that Julian Alvarez was not happy with the amount of minutes he was seeing under Pep Guardiola. He wanted to really see more. And then we moved on towards the second season and he found more importance. I felt like that World Cup performance that he had with Argentina really did help him receive more game time because it showed us and to the world and to Pep Guardiola that he can be a very important player and he can show up in big occasions. And so in the second season, there has been much more rotation between Erling Haaland and Julian Alvarez. Like there were many times through the season so far where Haaland had to leave like on the 60th minute only for Julian Alvarez to come into the match and play the full 30 to 40 minutes to finish off the match. Or maybe sometimes we even saw Julian Alvarez start in certain games. So there has been much more rotation. As a matter of fact, not only that, but Pep Guardiola has been evolving Julian Alvarez into a number 10, taking care of Kevin De Bruyne's role because Kevin De Bruyne is injured, and that is why Julian Alvarez saw the number 10 role. And let me tell you, he has been playing amazing as a number 10. So those are the two reasons why Julian Alvarez's situation at Manchester City has gotten better. It's because there has been more rotation and because he has taken on a brand new spot. And I think that looking at everything that he has been doing, like for example in the World Cup and what he has been getting used to in this current new season, I think that Julian Alvarez is a much better footballer compared to Erling Haaland. I think that Haaland is the better goal scorer, but overall Julian Alvarez is the better footballer. And that is one of the reasons on why Julian Alvarez is so highly valued, is because he can play as a 10, he is showing it, he can score goals, he knows how to dribble with the ball, he's good at aerial duels, he presses very well, and he finds those key passes in the final third. These type of qualities are the type of qualities that Erling Haaland cannot really replicate on the pitch. Again, he's a great goal scorer, but in terms of like those key passes, pressing well, winning the ball, dribbling with the ball, Julian Alvarez does come out on top. And so because he is so technical with the ball, that is the reason why I think that Xavi Hernandez will eventually get to the point where it is going to be catching his attention. Every time Julian Alvarez is in a team where the team is performing as a unit, right? There's total unity, like in the Argentina national team during the World Cup or during Manchester City's campaign in the Champions League, Julian Alvarez becomes a monster. And that is why I have so much confidence on him going to Barcelona and really excelling. So I can really see this player fitting. And let me also organize this into 3 different points on the reasons why I think that Julian Alvarez would be a perfect fit at Barcelona. Point number 1, he has everything like I've said. Technically, he's very good with the ball. Point number 2, he'll find it much more easier to play as a number 9 at Barcelona than at Manchester City. And I think that he can share the role with Vitor Roque, because I think that if you compare the situation between Julian Alvarez with Erling Haaland and Julian Alvarez with Vitor Roque, Julian will find it much easier to play with Vitor because Erling Haaland seems much more of a high profile type of player, a player that is very unbenchable, and he is certainly a player that can mark an era in football for the next 10 years. And so I think that Julian mentally will find it much easier to say, okay, I can find more game time with Vitor Roque than I can with Erling Haaland, because there is a big project being built around Erling Haaland at Man City. And I also don't think that Vitor Roque is going to be that generational player like Erling Haaland or Kylian Mbappe. I think that Vitor Roque is going to be really good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think that he will reach that type of accolade. I mean, we never know. We don't know yet. It's too early, but I just don't see right now as of yet Vitor Roque being named as one of the top generational players in the world and a player that's going to mark an era for the next 10 to 15 years. But either way though, I can see Vitor Roque and Julian Alvarez sharing the spot in the number 9 position. As a matter of fact, Vitor Roque also can play as a left winger, and maybe you can put Julian Alvarez as a number 9. You can do stuff like that. It's a very dynamic type of duo, and it just seems fun, right? Like the last time we had a Argentinian Brazilian duo was between Neymar and Lionel Messi, and it worked out very well. And so moving on towards point number 3, which is the most important one, and that is Julian Alvarez claiming that he is a fan of Barcelona. He dreams of playing for Barcelona. Now, keep in mind that Man City did beat out all competition back in January 2022. Barcelona were on the race to sign Julian Alvarez before, but Man City were much more keen to sign him, and Barcelona anyway backed off, which did really piss me off at that moment because I saw Barcelona say, okay, if we're going to be seeing competition with Julian Alvarez and Man City want to sign him. We're just gonna let him go and we're gonna go for Ferran Torres. Isn't that crazy? Isn't it so crazy how Barcelona said we're just gonna back off of Julian and go for Ferran Torres? And so instead of paying 20 million for Julian Alvarez, they paid 47 to 55 million euros for Ferran Torres. And yes, that's true. That was the story. And that is why Man City beat all competitions, and they certainly beat Barcelona to sign Julian Alvarez. And like I've said, he wanted to play for Barcelona. Back in 2019, this is what Julian had to say during a press conference. I grew up supporting Guardiola's Barcelona. I was a very big fan of Messi, and as an Argentinian, he was a real role model for me. When I turned pro, I set myself 2 goals: to win the World Cup with the Selección and the Champions League with FC Barcelona. So he's saying it right here in the statement. He said this 3 to 4 years ago. He dreams of playing for Barcelona and winning the Champions League only with FC Barcelona. So it could happen, and that is why he is on my list. We never thought that Gundogan and Cancelo were gonna end up eventually joining Barcelona, and here we are. They're at Barcelona doing wonders. I can see the same thing going on for Julian Alvarez. I don't know when Barcelona could sign him, but it very much could happen in the future. Now you may say, but Kevin, the reason why Gundogan and Cancelo went to Barcelona is because their job was done at Manchester City. They won everything possible. Okay, but so did Julian Alvarez. Julian Alvarez just won the Champions League with Man City. Like, he won everything with Man City already. And so who knows? Maybe he might say, like, even though it's only been 2 or 3 years, I want to find a new journey and I want to go to Barcelona. So this potential future operation really does interest me. Now let's move on towards the next player, and let's talk about Ligt. Ligt is 24 years old. He will be turning 25 in August. He's a very young center back, by the way. He has spent 3 years at Juventus. He left back in the summer of 2022 from Juventus to go to Bayern Munich, and now he is currently on his 2nd season at Bayern. And I don't know, man, like, I don't know if you guys can also give out your opinions about Ligt, but ever since Ligt left Ajax, he has been very unstable, I would say. Like, he never really actually reached his absolute peak, like what we saw at Ajax, and he has never really progressed individually. Like he was solid at Juventus, but I never really saw that standout center back that we saw back in 2019. Even Ligt himself wanted to say, right after he left Juventus, and this is what he said, and I quote, "I really enjoyed my time at Juventus, but felt the time has come to a fresh new challenge. Juventus are a great team, but coming here was another step up for me because Bayern Munich have the ambition to win the Champions League. I didn't get the same sense at Juventus." So you can see that it's just in a way, Ligt's time at Juventus wasn't really inspiring, which is why I do assume that his progression didn't go up as it should. Because I think that today we should be saying that Ligt is a top 5 center back in the world, but we can't say that because he hasn't really progressed. Back in 2019, we were projecting for him to be in that category, but he's not there. But he is not there today. And then at Bayern Munich, it got even worse. Sadly, right? Ligt this season, which is his 2nd season at Bayern Munich, has only played 126 minutes so far, and it's because there is 2 center backs that are taking all of his minutes. That is Kim Min Jae. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but yeah, there's this center back there that just came in, and then they have Upamecano. Those 2 center backs are taking all of the minutes away from Ligt, and that's because Ligt is not convincing Tuchel, and they're undisputed starters. And so there has been many sources claiming that Bayern Munich are willing to sell Ligt for around 80 million euros. And with Manchester United and Barcelona being big admirers of the center back, and I do assume that Man United have the financial capacity to sign him compared to FC Barcelona. I don't see Barcelona spending 80 million euros like tomorrow for Ligt. But like I've said, it could happen in the future. Could happen in the summer of 2024. We never know. Could happen in the summer of 2025. Maybe. But this is a player that I think Barcelona should certainly get because of his technical power, because of what he brings in the back line. He's great at passing with the ball. He's press resistant. I think that we can all remember how he did perform with Ajax under Ten Hag. And Ligt is a very technical player when he's on the ball. Very similar to someone like Koundé, but taller. So I assume that at this moment in his career, at the age of 24 years old, he does want to revive his career because he has only been unstable and he is dying to join a real club to progress his career. And I think that FC Barcelona is the perfect club for him. And let me tell you guys, Barcelona wanted Ligt before, very similar to how they wanted Julian Alvarez before. Barcelona wanted to sign Ligt back in 2019 and complete a double move of signing both Frankie de Jong and Ligt at that time. Yes, it's true. They wanted to sign those 2 Dutchmen. But a couple of months later, we found out that Ligt did not want to move to FC Barcelona and chose Juventus. Bartomeu at that time was doing everything he can to sign the player, but Ligt and his agent were looking for the big bag. And at that time, Ligt's agent was Mino Raiola. And Mino Raiola did not have a good relationship with Bartomeu, which is why it was so hard for us to sign Ligt at that time. But you better bet that Ligt at that time was also really considering joining Barcelona. Even Frankie de Jong did say back in that time in that summer, he stated that he was speaking to Ligt to join him at Barcelona. And this is what he said, and I quote, "I honestly don't know what Ligt is going to do this summer. He has to know for himself. I would certainly go to Barcelona. It would be great for me and for Barcelona. It would be great to get such a good player who you can continue with for a very long time." So Frankie was saying, I want Ligt to come with me to Barcelona because I think think that we can play together for the next 10 to 15 years. And I don't know if you guys remember, but that duo between Frankie and De Ligt and how they formed a back three with like some other center back that they had at Ajax at that time, it was world class. Like no one could take the ball away when you had Frankie and De Ligt within the back three, and they understood each other. They were passing the ball around. No one could take the ball away. They were very press resistant together, and many of us wanted to see that at Barcelona. And now today we can safely say that Xavi Hernandez can make that happen at the club if they really wanted to. Now I know that Manchester United are going to be a huge threat, like they do want to replace Harry Maguire, and they're willing to like splash so much cash for De Ligt. But I think that if De Ligt is serious, he does not want to make a third mistake. He has already made two mistakes, and that is Juventus and Bayern Munich. Does he really want to make a third mistake and go to another club where he's not going to be seeing a strong sporting project, where he's not going to be seeing a Champions League? At Barcelona, he can. And at Barcelona, they have a great sporting project. And so I can see De Ligt coming to Barcelona and placing Inigo Martinez. I know that many of you guys are going to be saying Inigo Martinez just joined Barcelona, and I understand that, but I feel like they're going to treat Inigo Martinez just like how they treated Kessie and how they're going to treat Oriol Romeo. They're short-term solutions. They only brought him in just to reinforce the short-term problems, and then once Barcelona have the financial capability to sign a long-term replacement, they will send those players the other way and bring in the fresh new ones. And in this case, it is De Ligt for Inigo Martinez, and that is a massive upgrade in terms of age, in terms of sporting success, in terms of the individual brilliance, basically everything. And I think that when you have center back options of Koundé, Araujo, Christensen, and De Ligt, that is world class. That is the ultimate dream for Xavi Hernandez and his defense. And yes, we do need 4 total world class center backs because of the amount of games every club has to play every season. 4 world class center backs are very much needed, because once you have one center back out and you only have 3 total center backs, you're already screwed, because if one more center back gets injured, now you only have 2 center backs left within a back 4, and that's never a good situation to be in. And so I can already see, right, like if De Ligt does eventually come to Barcelona, I can see a back line of Araujo, Koundé, De Ligt, and Alejandro Balde. Or you can just have fun with it, right? You can have Cancelo, Koundé, De Ligt, Balde, or Araujo right back, De Ligt right center back, Christensen left center back, Alejandro Balde left back. It would be amazing. You can do so many things depending on the opposition that Barcelona do play. So those are going to be the 2 players that I do want to speak about. Again, I'm going to be talking about other players in a later video. That is going to be wrapping it up for today, and I'll see you guys in the next one.